Hello and welcome to Last Epoch University. This is lesson 6, and this one is on factions. Now, factions are the newest system being added to the game, actually, as of this recording, as of the time that you're going to watch this video, or it's going to be live at least. This is still 10 days out from being live, so we don't even actually have it in front of us. However, we have a lot of information on it, certainly enough to make a basic guide on how the factions are going to work. So this lesson will cover both factions, the Merchants Guild, or MG, and the Circle of Fortune, or COF. Now, with this being a pre-1.0 info session, so to speak, there are definitely some details that could change at launch that could be a little bit different than what we see here, but overall, for the most part, this should be pretty much what you should come to expect because there's been a lot of information that EHG, the developers of Last Epoch, have given us to work with. But if there are any changes that occur, I will do my best to pin in the comment section anything that I notice so that you can go down there and check that after the launch and see what might be different. All right, with that out of the way, let's talk about what factions are. So these factions are a mutually exclusive choice that provide benefits to loot acquisition. You can only choose one. That's the mutually exclusive part. Whichever one you choose, you will not have access to the other. And they provide these benefits of loot acquisition through different mechanisms. So Merchants Guild is going to give you the option to trade with other players in a very friendly trade environment, so to speak, one that's not full of friction, that's got a lot of quality of life. It's going to have a auction house style setup that we'll talk about later. And you'll be able to trade virtually everything in the game. The only things that you can't trade are going to be crafting materials, but everything else will be available to you. Circle of Fortune, on the other hand, is not trade. It does not have any access to trade whatsoever. Instead, it gives you increased drops and also a system called prophecies that allows you to target different items. We'll talk about that in that section. But let's get into how to choose your faction first, and then we'll get into the different factions, starting with MG. To choose your faction, you will not have access to it until presumably Chapter 9, because that is where it is found. It occurs in Majelka, which is the big capital city of Chapter 9. So the easiest way to get there is going to be to follow the campaign. So it's going to take you a while if you're a new player to get to Chapter 9. Don't worry, you haven't missed it. If it's been hours, it's going to be something that's closer to endgame before you actually do acquire it. When you're in the desert area, you're getting close. Okay, we did say this is mutually exclusive, so once you choose your faction, that's the one you're stuck with. Well, not really. That's the one you're going to have for now. You won't be able to access the other one, but you can switch it later. So you can start with, for example, Merchants Guild, do some trading, decide actually you don't like that, you want to go COF, check out the prophecy system. On that character, you can make the switch. However, it does have some restrictions, in that being you won't be able to use most, if not all, of the gear that you acquired on the other faction if you use the actual faction to acquire it. So, for example, if you trade for a bunch of items, those are going to be tagged in a way that does not allow you to use them on the other faction, so you'll have to acquire those items some other way, so you'll probably lose substantial power immediately in that switch that you'll have to make up for over time. You can group with players from other factions, so if you and your friends, say, want to both play it, and you want to go Merchants Guild because you like trading, and your friends says they hate trading, don't want anything to do with it, so they want to go COF, that's okay. You can do that. You can go Merchants Guild and your friend can go COF, or other way around. It's totally fine. There are some limitations with sharing loot, and we'll talk about that here towards the end, but will not prevent you from actually playing together. Okay, now let's get into the different factions. So we'll start with the Merchants Guild. This is, of course, the one where you trade, and you trade through the Bazaar. The Bazaar is an auction house style system. Where you can then buy or sell items. There are requirements, though, on what you can trade based on the rank that you are. So in these faction systems, you will rank up. You rank up through gaining XP, through killing enemies, etc. And you won't start off being able to trade very many things, but as you are playing the game, killing monsters, ranking up, also spending favor, which is one of the currencies that is used in the faction is actually the primary faction currency. As you're spending that, you'll also acquire XP towards your reputation or your rank, and you'll open up more and more things that you will be able to trade. So, for example, idols you won't be able to trade until rank 3. Once you reach rank 3, then you'll have access to it. And it goes all the way up to rank 10, which allows you to trade legendary items, actual legendaries. So, like with a unique with legendary potential and exalted smashed together, you'll be able to trade that or trade for that in rank 10. You must have enough favor to make your trades. That's true for both buying and selling. So this is a way that the system limits there from being too many things that are being traded all at once, making it like an economic simulator. And so you'll have to acquire favor, and then you'll be able to make some sort of trade either buying or selling. And if you're buying, you will, of course, need enough gold from the player who you are buying it from. Speaking of buying things from other players, let's talk about the bazaar, which is where this trading actually occurs. This is the central trading hub, and you must travel here. This is in Majelka, because all of this stuff is in Majelka for the faction system. And when you go there, it consists of multiple NPCs that act as vendors, and each vendor they sell different items. So you might have one, for example, for one-handed maces, and one for gloves, and one for body armor. Once you interact with these NPCs, they will open an auction house-like UI where you will then be able to browse the items and search for things that you're looking for, or sell the items that are in your possession that you would like to sell to others. Buying items requires gold and favor, as we mentioned before. The gold is determined by the selling player. They determine how much it costs. Favor is a fixed amount based upon however the game determines the general value of the item you have. It's almost certainly going to be due to rarity. Example, exalteds are probably going to be more favor than rares. Uniques are probably going to be quite a bit of favor. Maybe LP stuff is higher favor. We don't know exactly how it's going to work, but it's going to be probably something like that. Selling also requires favor. So you won't just be able to sell anything. You'll have to have enough favor for it. But you do, of course, choose the gold cost, so you have control of that. So that's the general system of Merchant's Guild. What I want to do here is give you guys a kind of idea of some likely high value items, because if you're going to go into the trading scenario, the trading faction, you're going to obviously want to make some gold. And it can be kind of daunting to try to figure out what to look for to sell. Things on the ground. There's a lot of stuff that drops in the game. A lot of it is just not worth it at all. It's complete trash. And if you try to sell it on the bazaar, you won't get much for it. But there are a lot of things that are good. This is, of course, not at all anything close to a comprehensive or exhaustive list of values. It's a very general concept here overall. What's really high value is going to be dictated by market forces and also balance of the game. Example, something might make it into the meta and be like an S tier build that's doing just insane things in the game. It's going to become very, very popular, and so any items that build desires are going to become very expensive, especially if they're relatively rare. So for that, you'll have to kind of keep your eye on it and see what's doing really well. But overall, here are some general ideas. High value uniques are going to be they're going to be wanted because they're high value. A good place to check out to get a general sense of what high value uniques are actually on Maxroll, on the valuable unique section, which will be updated for 1.0, but even the information here is pretty good. We list a whole bunch of different uniques that are generally valuable. This does not mean that if you get one of these, you're going to make a ton of money, because some of these are fairly common, but browsing this and seeing what is said in the description about them might give you a pretty good idea, especially down here towards some of the more rare stuff in the end game stuff. Definitely more than the leveling stuff. Leveling stuff can be valuable too, but these are the rarer things, and these are probably going to be the more high value things. Okay. Oops. There we go. So high value uniques, also uniques with legendary potential. The more the better. High value uniques with legendary potential, even better. So if you get an item that's pretty rare and also has LP on it, that's probably going to sell for a lot of gold. If it also is used in a lot of popular builds, even better. You might have just struck it rich. So keep your eye out for LP, keep your eye out for rare uniques. Also exalteds with powerful tier 7 affixes. Tier 6 affixes will be valuable too, but tier 7s are probably going to be much more valuable. They're going to be much easier to acquire these because so many people are playing and dropping them. So I believe that tier 7 will be more of a standard of what people are expecting and trying to acquire. Here are some affixes that are generally valuable. Health, whether it be increased or added or hybrid, especially increased in hybrid health. Critical strike chance, critical strike multiplier, plus skills for popular builds. But there's a whole bunch of different things that that could be valuable. Something you have to keep your eye on with, again, popular builds and just generally popular affixes you see on a lot of build guides. That's probably going to be the stuff that's worth the most money. Tier 7 experimental fixes are kind of similar, but also a little bit unique. The experimental fixes only drop off of the imprisoned mages. So it's not called the exiled mages. The exiled mages, they are imprisoned, but they're called exiled mages. The exiled mages, which you find on the maps, there's like a little icon. You click on that, mage pops out. You kill it, it drops an item with experimental affix. If you get lucky enough to get even a tier 6, but especially a tier 7 experimental affix, and if it happens to be a really valuable one, for example, right now, pre 1.0 at least, there's an affix that gives you reduces it reduces your health by a percentage of your current health per second, but also gives you ward based upon your missing health per second. This is how you make a low life build. It's on gloves, and it's very, very high value. If you get a tier 6 or tier 7, that'll probably sell for a lot of gold. So keep your eye out for those. Basically, you're probably going to want to kill every mage you come across, especially if you're in empowered. The last thing we'll cover on this section are idols. These will also, since this is only you only need to be rank 3 to sell idols. I think this is probably going to be a pretty popular and valuable thing early game, since everyone will be able to trade them pretty quickly. Idols with double health are really, really strong, and high rolls really matter on these things. Like, for example, if you get a 2% health roll versus a 5%, the 2% is probably worth just about nothing, but the 5% might be worth a lot, especially if the suffix is also good. Health and resistance, so 5% health with a high resistance roll is going to be really good. Vitality plus resistance, I think they cap at 3 vitality. Get that with a high resistance is like a 17% resistance, probably going to be pretty valuable. And then high rolls of build enabling affixes like chance to cast smite on throwing attacks, which is used for on multiple smite or throwing smite builds, which are going to be popular. They're always going to be popular. They're kind of a timeless build. It's just really cool. If you get a high roll of those, especially the suffix is pretty good too, that's probably going to be worth a lot of gold. So keep your eye out for stuff like this, but keep an open mind as well. If you're someone who really enjoys trading, you're going to want to start to get familiar with what the really good builds are and what the generally good affixes are, etc. But this should give you like a good starting point. Okay, that's enough of Merchants Guild. Let's go to all the people who say that, trading is no fun. We don't like trading. SSF is the way to go. Although it's not technically SSF because you can play this multiplayer. This is kind of what people think of. You're in control of your own destiny. You're not relying on anybody else, etc. By the way, I'm going to be going trade to start with, and then CUF my second character. So I have no dog in this fight. I like both, very much. I think both are going to be a lot of fun, but some people don't. So if you don't like trading, this is the one for you. Now, this is located in the observatory, which is adjacent to or very close to the bazaar. They're both going to be in Majolica, so they're going to be close to each other. And this one is going to work a little bit differently as far as how the ranks work for you. And you're not going to obviously get ranks to trade new things because you're not trading anything. Instead, you're going to get item, rarity, and drop rate bonuses. For example, one of them is double the chance of getting legendary potential, I believe, is how it's worded. So legendary potential, things drop, have a chance to get it. You have twice the chance to get it as you would have before you got that rank. So is that kind of thing that you're going to be seeing, where as you progress through it, your rewards are going to improve just across the board in some way, whether it be unique value or maybe exalteds drop more, etc. That's the kind of stuff you're going to see. Ranks also provide you with lens, the ability to buy certain lenses and get lens slots. We'll get into that in a few minutes, but that's an additional thing from ranks for Circle of Fortune. Circle of Fortune also includes the prophecy system, which is maybe the big selling point of it, which is a way to target items by completing objectives. And we'll talk about that here in a minute. Let's first start with the observatory and actually get into the prophecy system now. So observatory again is a place that you go in Majolica, and this is where you're going to acquire your prophecies. So you go here, you spend favor to gain a prophecy, and that prophecy has an objective. For example, it might be kill Shade of Orbis. So you go out and kill Shade of Orbis, and you have that prophecy active. Then you've completed that prophecy, and you will get a reward. The complete the objective provides you with whatever the stated reward is. For example, maybe it's you get 10 small Lagon idols. We saw this on the video, so this is like a real example that they showed us. You get 10 small Lagon idols for killing Shade of Orbis. Prophecies are broken up into 4 telescopes, and each telescope has different rewards in it. So north will give you armor, south will give you accessories, east will give you weapons, west will give you idols. And when you look into one of these telescopes, you will see a constellation, and the constellation will have like a number of different different potential prophecies you can get. Let me see if I can give you guys a quick look here because it's pretty cool and good to know. It looks like this. So you go in here, and it's actually putting the lenses in right now, but this is the prophecy system. Let me see if I can get a quick, there we go. So you click on telescope, prophecy system opens, and here's the different options you have. Here we can actually just really quickly slow this down. Really quickly slow this down, makes a lot of sense. We can slow this down, and we can see this particular one is Death of an Arena Champion. In the arena, rewards 2 exalted 2-handed staff. So that is the kind of reward you can get from this system. And there are many, many different types of rewards from that. And then they're broken up into the 4 telescopes, so that it's easier for you to look for the right kinds that you want. So if you want weapons, you would go to the weapon one. If you want like helmet, you'd go to the armor one, etc. All right, so we mentioned lenses already. What do lenses actually do? Oh, I should mention one other thing actually before we go in here. Prophecies can be re-rolled. So you see, you see in here all the different constellations. You're not stuck with these. You can see here there's a re-roll button. So you can re-roll out of these and try to get other prophecies. And then when you do claim a prophecy, like this one, it's going to give you new constellations. So you can keep playing this until you find what you want, as long as you have enough favor to do re-rolls and actually purchase the thing that you're looking for. All right. Lenses. So lenses are a way to customize your telescope. I think I'm going to flashbang you guys one more time just to show you the lenses thing again. So you're going to be able to unlock 3 different lens slots eventually that pop in here, and then you can put lenses in them, and this will customize each telescope. There are those 4 telescopes. Each one can be customized with these different lenses, and there's different ones that can fit in it. For example, 100% reduced chance for prophecies to have an arena events, which just pops in here. And we have this one is 15% increased chance per rank to find exalted items. And the first one they popped in was 15% increased chance per rank to find runes. So they have customized this to have all 3 of those lenses, which will all be activated. And then the prophecies that they create here will be influenced by that. All right. So what kind of lenses can we put in? We just saw a couple of, or 3 examples of them, but what are all of the options? Because we actually know what they are. There's increased chance of specific item type prophecy, increased chance of helmets, for example. Block and activity type, like for example, block dungeon prophecies. We just saw one, I think they blocked the arena, something like that. But yeah, block different activity types you don't like or want to do. Like if you hate the arena or hate dungeons, you can, or you just don't want to do it at the moment, you can then put in a lens and then you won't be seeing those. Increased chance of specific item rarity prophecy, maybe exalted, put in one lens that increase your chance to get exalted items. Maybe you put in uniques. Block high corruption, 50 plus. This would be really only relevant to people who don't want to do empowered yet. But if that's the case, if you're in normal monos and you're doing your lenses or you're doing your prophecies and you keep getting high corruption ones, maybe you pop this in and you don't get that anymore. And there's 2 special lenses. There's prophecies cost 80% more favor and have twice as many uses. And there's prophecies cost 90% more favor and have double rewards type. These are both just straight buffs to the amount of stuff you're going to get for each prophecy you do. So even though they're increasing the favor cost, the amount of rewards they're giving you are greater than that cost. So you get a net return on that. So it's like a trade-off. You're willing to spend more favor per individual prophecies because you know each one's going to be more valuable. All right, the last thing we need to talk about, we've gone through COF, we've gone through merchant skill, explained how all those work. are some considerations with kind of the way that these interact with each other. So we mentioned early that players of different factions can still party together, but that there are restrictions on items. Those restrictions are that items that are acquired by factions are tagged with the faction type and rank. So, for example, you might drop an item in COF that gets tagged COF rank 3 because that's the rank you are. And you are partying with your friend who's Merchant's Guild and you want to give them that item. Well, you can actually give them that item, but they can't wear it because they aren't rank 3 in the Circle of Fortune. They are whatever rank in Merchant's Guild. So even though you can give it to them, it doesn't do them much good. So bear that in mind if you want to party together, that you will be restricted to some extent on what you'll be able to trade back and forth, and exactly how much is unclear, but it's probably the majority of things. That would be the guess, the majority of things, at least for COF players who are getting all these buffs. They're not going to be able to trade much to their MG friends. The other thing to think of, or to know about, is resonance. So this is a specific thing that applies to Circle of Fortune players who want to play together and want to gift items back and forth. Under normal circumstances, you would only be able to do that if they were in the party when it dropped. However, resonances are a way around that. This does not apply to Merchant's Guild, by the way, because Merchant's Guild can always trade with everybody. So they don't need to really worry about this. But if you're an MG, this is a way for you to gift an item to a player when it dropped when you weren't in the party with them. So these resonances are an item that you would then use as consumed to make that gifting. It's not a trade because there's no, they're not giving you anything in return. There's no compensation, but you're going to gift them that item. You use this resonance in order to make that gift because the item didn't drop while they're in the party. Now, for these to drop, they have to be in your party for an extended period of time. You have to be partying together. These resonances will be tagged with the individual that you were partying with. So if you're partying with your friend Billy Bob, for an extended period of time, there's a chance that resonance will drop for you that is tagged Billy Bob, and you will only be able to use that to gift an item to Billy Bob. They also have different rarities. So some of these resonances will only be able to trade like certain levels of rarities, like maybe a rare, and then others will be able to trade higher value things like maybe exalteds or legendaries or legendary potential, or no, these would be uniques or uniques with legendary potential. So that opens up COF for players who want to do, like, for example, private leagues, or just enjoy playing with their friends. They don't want to be in a trade environment, but they still want to be able to give their friends stuff when things drop for them, even if they're not playing with them at the time. This is the solution for that EHG came up with. All right, that is the factions. I am super stoked to be playing these. I cannot wait for 1.0. I hope that one of these factions really speaks to you. It's really something you're into. And if not, maybe both are, like me, because I think they're both going to be super fun. I expect to be playing both of them probably for thousands of hours. But yeah, I hope this was informative for you and helps you make a decision about what you want to do for factions, and maybe even gives you some strategies. And I hope you enjoy your time in Last Epoch. If you want to ask me more questions or just hang out, I stream on Twitch a lot, and at one point I'll be streaming all the time. I also have a Discord that you are welcome to hop in and ask away questions, or just join the community. The community is growing, especially right now. We're getting a lot more activity in there, and we love it. I love hanging out with people and answering questions, so would love to add more to that. All right, thanks again for watching. Have a great time in Last Epoch, and I'll see you all again real soon.